tap
on that tea. God
tap
damn it.
tapping that tea.
So much tea.
Is it?
No,
it's just a cup.
I'm just saying you drink tea every time I see.
I mean,
you.
It could be worse.
You could be drinking. I don't know what I'm saying. You could be drinking
I
a
could
lot
be
of
drinking
paint
thinner. I could be drinking
glue. I mean, any like
glue. I don't know if you can drink glue. You'd have to water it down. I feel like
it's like really thick,
very viscous.
Hot chocolate whole milk.
I'll tell you what, though. When I was pregnant, there was a chocolate cream top. Like it's at your DeKalb Farmers Market, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not been to your DeKalb Farmers Market, it's literally called. I'm not saying it's like called your DeKalb Farmers Market.
Oh, okay.
And it is in the Decatur area. It is like it's a giant fucking warehouse of like and it's like international foods. Okay.
Yeah.
They have this milk, you guys.
Oh my god.
Cream top milk in a jug.
Like cream top brand?
Goddamn, like it says cream top on it. It's so goddamn creamy that when you take it off, all the cream creates a plug, and you got to stick a fucking knife in there and just like mix it around to get that cream all mixed up. It is luscious. It is the most luscious chocolate milk. It is just like. I shouldn't be saying this.
No, and I'm giving up sugar.
Well, you're not going to go to your DeKalb. You know you can still drink milk, right? They also have just regular milk.
I know,
you can put
but
sugar-free syrup in it.
I shouldn't drink milk and
Why?
Sugar.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know your life.
Lactose?
I mean, I'm trying to drink. Yeah. I'm trying to eat vegan, as you may remember from our last episode.
Yes.
So
sorry, we're still talking about it.
Sorry. Like, do you think maybe we're having some cravings?
Maybe.
Is this like, do people that give up booze sit around and talk about the martinis they wish they were drinking? My mouth, I'm salivating right now talking about that cream top milk. I'm salivating.
I've never even heard of it. Okay.
If you are in the Atlanta area, stop by your DeKalb Farmers Market and get some cream top milk.
That's literally the first time I've heard someone call it your DeKalb Farmers Market.
That's what it's fucking called. Sponsored by cream top milk. I wish. If you'd like to sponsor us, just send me a case of cream top chocolate milk.
Oh my God.
I don't even remember what the brand of the...
How many calories per serving? Like 250?
Like 1,000. It's probably like a week's worth of calories in one glass of milk. I was drinking for 2, okay?
Was it while you were pregnant?
While I was pregnant, yes. I used to drink it just like constantly. Because I would get heartburn.
You used to drink milkshakes when you were pregnant with...
Right.
Elliot, I remember.
Yeah, all my kids, because I got horrible heartburn. So I was just like chugging milkshakes all the time just to try to like quell the heartburn. And they taste delicious. But yeah. Welcome to the Georgia Made Podcast.
Welcome to Food Corner.
Welcome to Food Corner. Welcome to the Georgia Made Podcast,
yes,
where we're still talking about food because we've made some dietary changes and apparently we've got to get some things out of our system.
Yes.
I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
I'm sorry. I'm Sarah.
Do you remember?
I forget my
now
name.
that you've stopped eating sugar, you've lost the ability to remember
my name is Ramona.
This is a podcast about film and filmmaking in Georgia. And sometimes cream top milk.
And sometimes other places too.
So what are you watching these days?
Well,
what are you watching?
I just started watching Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Is it The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina or just Chilling Adventures of Sabrina?
I'm obsessed.
Yes,
I also recently started. Well, technically, Chris and I started watching it over Christmas. Oh. We watched the first 2 episodes, and then we got distracted by other things. And recently, we started watching it again, and I am obsessed.
So I didn't even know it was like that old because it
came out last October.
My Netflix started to suggest it to me only like 2 weeks ago. Like I didn't even know there was a first season.
You may want to consider breaking up with Netflix because it may not know you as well as it thinks it does.
It's suggesting like rom-coms to me, and I'm like,
okay.
But
you want something darker. Yeah. You want something a little darker.
Yes, and Sabrina is the perfect mixture of dark but also funny and light. It's like lighthearted but dark
and witchy as fuck. Yeah. And I am here for it. Yes. Also, the actress Michelle Gomez who plays Madam Satan. And
yes. She's great.
I am obsessed with her. Like every move of her eyebrow is like every time she's on screen.
Very, very striking eyes.
She's incredible. She's such a good actress. I mean, everybody on the show is great. Like all of them are great, and like it's just so good.
The show is so good. It's making me want to watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch. To be honest with you,
I don't think I'll get what I'm looking for there.
Yeah.
I love it's sufficiently
Joan
dark.
Hart.
It's sufficiently dark for me.
Yeah.
Sabrina. It's interesting. It's got all the witchy kind of shit that I like. I was at first a little put out by how all the witches were like, because I mean this is not a spoiler, but the whole thing is that they're witches, but they basically belong to a church of Satan. And like I was at first a little bit like, hey, so like being a witch and a Satanist are not they're not the same thing at all. Like they're different things. So at first I was a little put out by that, and then I began to realize that the whole Church of Satan thing in this show functions as a satire on fundamentalist Christianity. And then I was like, fuck yeah.
And also they make a lot of commentary on the patriarchy too.
Well, you just started season 2, but wait until you get into it. Season 2 is all about the patriarchy.
Nice.
I'm like midway into season 2.
Yeah, I saw the first few episodes where...
And there's a trans character, which is like not something you see regularly. So that was...
Yes, there's also... there's a trans character in the OA as well. Like I'm seeing a lot more of that on... And, you know... I think it's great.
Yeah, inclusivity, man.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody's stories told, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel a little dirty saying this, but I have a tiny crush on Harvey Kinkle. I'm old enough to be his mother.
What is his name? Ross
Lynch. At first, as we were watching the show, we were actually making fun of Harvey. Like, we were like, how dumb is he? No. Like, he seems like the dumbest person in America. And then somewhere around episode 3 or 4, I was I sat up in my chair and I began to notice Harvey a little bit more. I feel dirty saying this. He's like a child. I mean, he's not a child.
He's 23.
But he's basically a child. Anyway, so there's a little something for everyone in the show. There's good acting, there's darkness. If you are a fundamentalist Christian, this is probably not going to be your cup of tea.
But if you are, then you probably think it's not about you. So
I'm pretty sure if you are like, I feel like, I mean, they're literally like, they'll say something like, and they'll take things that we say all the time, like thank God or praise Jesus, and they'll say like, praise Satan, or they'll say like
in Satan's name
instead of like you know, oh hell or whatever. People say oh heaven, like they literally reverse everything. And it's really funny to me. But I feel like if you were, and you know, I'm not mocking people's. I mean, it sounds a bit like I am. I'll be real. It does sound like I am, but I think it's good no matter what your religion is. Like I feel like it's good to believe. I feel like that if believing in something is good, it's part of our culture, gathering together and trying to figure out this world and the mythology that we share is important. I have a bit of a problem with, I mean, this is not a podcast about my problems with fundamentalist Christianity, but I just have a problem when it begins to be a thing that affects other people's lives. Like, hey, I'm going to need you to believe exactly the same thing I am, or like trying to like shame people for what their beliefs are. So I do enjoy a good joke at the expense of fundamentalist Christians. And the show gives it to me. So
I know some people who are Satanists. And
anything fundamentalist, if you have fundamentalist in front of anything, I'm going to be not on board with that. Sorry, you were saying. I know some people who are Satanists, and they claim that, and this is how the show starts to explain Satanism, but then it goes into that they're just bad. But basically Satanism is all about free will and
I mean, they just describe it. It's like not worshiping someone above yourself, but then it seems that they need to.
The show was sued by the Church of Satan because
yeah?
of the use of the statue that's in the at the school, the academy.
Wow.
They were sued, yes. Because now, to be fair, I feel like their version of Satanism, if that's what you even want to call it on the show, I don't think represents what actual Satanism is. But it also doesn't represent what actual witchcraft is.
It doesn't.
It's like they're borrowing and mixing the two into this weird blended milkshake. Because, yes, there is witches, like kitchen witches. Like Hilda's definitely a kitchen witch. She's like engaging in herbalism and making foods and teas and things. And you've got like incantations and people and whatnot and protection spells, and like there are aspects of it that are very much like what a practicing witch is like, but practicing witches aren't Satanists.
Yes,
Satanists are not practicing witches, or if they are, they're like both things. So they don't really go together. But so there's something a little, I think troubling for people about that. But like I said, once I kind of saw it as a satire on fundamentalism of any kind, I mean, it seems very much like, and there are characters that appear later that seem to be more like fundamentalist Christianity type characters. But anyway, I am enjoying the joke of it all.
Yeah.
And it definitely does seem to mirror, like it'll occasionally morph into something that feels like the Catholic Church, or something that feels like, feels like baptism. Like they're definitely lampooning the structure of the as the patriarchy, really. Yeah. The patriarchal aspects of religion is what they're lampooning.
I mean, I would say
campy.
Yeah, but I would say beyond just religion, like politics and all that stuff,
and high school love, all the court of the high school.
Harvey.
That
Harvey storyline got me.
Yes, yeah. I'm still not over it. Yeah, even midway through season 2. I wish we could talk about it, but we can't because you have only seen the first 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. There's like something. Okay, so that's. I feel like shall we talk about this week's topic?
The Atlanta Film Festival. We saw 2 feature films.
Yeah, so we're still talking about the Atlanta Film Festival. So for those of you just joining us, if you did not listen to last week's episode, maybe go back, give it a listen.
Right now.
Right now? No, don't. Maybe listen to this.
Spoil.
I know people don't like to click things more than once, so finish listening to this. Go back and listen to the other one.
Definitely don't click twice.
No, don't click what I said. Don't click more than once.
We only
or click as many times as you need to.
Yes.
As many times as you feel comfortable. Why are you making that face?
I don't know. Like, is there something like sexual about that?
It was a joke. So last episode, I think these are going to be 2 weeks apart. Last episode, we talked about the Shorts block, the Georgia Shorts block. So this week, we are talking about 2 feature films. Mm-hmm.
Both made in Georgia, right?
Made in Georgia.
Yes.
Georgia filmmakers, Georgia writers, Georgia actors, a who's who, really.
Yes.
Of acting folks, top tier acting folks in Atlanta. So we both saw. I saw Reckoning.
Let's start with that.
Yeah. So let's start with Reckoning. And I saw it the night that so first of all, again, I want to talk about, first of all, I want to talk again about the atmosphere. So the atmosphere, it was bananas. It was so packed. I accidentally got there right as the show was starting, and I had bought a ticket, so I was able to get in. But if you were a pass holder and you had, like, I think they let a certain amount of tickets in and a certain amount of pass holders in, and the line to get in was like wrapped around the block. Like it was sold out as fuck. Like they had to open up the they had for all of the screenings we went to, they opened up the balcony in the plaza, which, although I have lived in Atlanta all my life and I've gone to the plaza many times, to be honest with you, I did not even know there was a fucking balcony up there. I really never paid attention.
I thought there was, but I didn't think anyone went up there.
Well, it was sold out despite having the balcony. So I saw I happened to buy my ticket in advance online. Mm-hmm. I knew I wanted to see that show, so I got it several weeks in advance. And then they ended up having to open a encore screening later in the week. So
Miles
Reckoning.
from the nearest power grid, Lemon Cassidy scratches out a humble living in an isolated Appalachian farming community. Her life is tossed into chaos when two men from the oldest family on the mountain hold her son hostage until she can settle a debt her missing husband owes to their cold-hearted matriarch.
Yes. So it's a bit of like your Appalachian like characters where you've got people that are, and they're like, it's almost like a mob story a little bit, but in Appalachia, because it's like you've got this one family warring with another family, and this woman Lemon is caught in the middle. So Lemon, the directors and writers were Lane and Ruckus Skye. Mm-hmm. It was shot in Hiawassee, Georgia, I believe. And Danielle Deadwyler was the main actress. The film was like a who's who of like amazing Atlanta actors who are working in town, working on a lot of the shows that come through here. Catherine Dyer, who played the matriarch in that equation, the way that they wrote her too, like she's like making pies, like basically making pies or biscuits, like every time she comes over to discuss his debt with her. So she's doing something that's very motherly and sweet and welcoming, but it's very threatening at the same time. Like I didn't know that making biscuits could be so threatening. Mm-hmm. So Catherine is, so you folks out there may recognize her from like a lot of fucking stuff, but especially out there if you've ever seen Stranger Things. She was in Stranger Things season 1 as basically the cleaner, the person who would come around and kill people for the Hawkins lab to kind of cover their tracks. It was a really brilliant film. It was interesting. It had a lot of twists and turns that I didn't expect. There was this whole like Appalachian cult aspect where there was like a cult in the woods with a very surprising resolution to that scene that I did not see coming. And yeah, the whole time you're just like really rooting for this character. It's really Danielle Deadwyler, like really like everybody in the film is amazing, but the film is like really being carried on her shoulders. She's in almost every scene. Her son played her son in the movie, and he was also really good. But yeah, you're just like really rooting for this woman she's basically like got a short amount of time to sort this shit out. And she's got to tromp all over the fucking Appalachian wilderness, going from place to place, trying to work this shit out so she can get her son back. It was great. It was a really good movie.
Awesome.
Yeah, loved it. And I can't really say much more than that because I don't want to spoil anything.
Right, yeah.
But I hope this film will get distribution and that you folks out there listening will get a chance to see it. And if it does, we'll let you know so you can check it out. And then maybe you can send us a message about what you thought. Yes, but I thought it was a fabulous movie. Also, I didn't mention this in the last episode, but if you want to know more about some of these films, check out the Atlanta Film Chat podcast. That podcast is long-running Atlanta podcast about film in Georgia, and Chuck actually interviewed Lane, Ruckus, and Danielle on his podcast. They talked all about the film, how it came to be, what led them to making the film, because this, I believe, might be their first feature. Like, I think they were about to make something else, but the money fell through, so they decided to make this. And they wrote this part for Danielle. And so there's a whole interview about it. It's fascinating. As well as they interviewed the writer-director of Pageant Material.
Okay.
So both of those great interviews can tell you all about the deets. So check that out, Atlanta Film Chat podcast.
Yes. Sounds good.
So he's like, I'll be checking it out.
I will be. I did want to go see that, but I think I was feeling a little
under the weather.
Yeah. It was like after a long
it was a Wednesday night. It was a
and
Wednesday night. Yeah. Well, at that point, I think like if you wouldn't have gotten in. The only reason I got in is because I had bought the tickets like weeks before. Julie was supposed to go with me, but we have a stomach bug at my house right now. I don't, but my kids do. It's only a matter of time before I get it. So it was nice knowing all of you.
That's why she's behind that protective screen right now.
That's why I'm recording from another room.
Yes, we're actually not in the same place.
But Julie the stomach bug was ripping through her family at the time, and she was not able to make it to the screening.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, stomach bugs.
Yeah, they're the worst. Okay, so shall we talk about
pageant material?
We're not going to spoil anything, so I think only things that you would. Well, only we can talk about things that are in the trailer.
Okay.
Because there's a trailer, so we can talk about whatever's in the trailer.
All right.
But I feel like there's like a couple moments maybe at the end we don't want to spoil. Yeah.
Okay. So this was written by Jonathan Mitchell and Madison Hatfield and directed by Jonathan Mitchell.
Right. Of Problematic Productions. So let me say, we met him back when, you weren't there, but Dick Pic Professional and Veer's Workplace Sensitivity Training Series were playing at the Atlanta Shorts Fest.
Oh, he was there, and I missed it.
Yeah, and I went up because you weren't. I went up for the Q&A because you were out of town. You were like, where? I
was in LA. I was actually on a plane. I was on the plane from LA to Atlanta.
Trying to make it back.
I landed like when the film festival ended. Like I just missed it.
So I went up for the Q&A, and he came up to me afterwards, and he was super nice. And they were there with She's All Wet.
Right.
So, and I, this year I kind of discovered them on Instagram, and I was like, oh, I remember this guy. I remember this stuff. And I love their social media presence. Like, I know that seems like a weird thing to say, but I feel like when you're a filmmaker and a content creator, like having a good social media presence is paramount.
Yeah.
And I love the way that they share their content with people. I love the way that they do their advertising, their marketing, like the graphics they use. They're preparing to make another film, which the fucking design of that artwork is amazing. And I'm loving it. So I've been kind of like Instagram stalking them because I'm really like, wow, I just love the way they are sharing their work.
Yeah.
And so once I started to see stuff for pageant material, I was like, oh, I want to fucking see this. Like, what is this shit about? And so when the tickets went on sale for the Atlanta Film Festival, I tried to get them, and they were sold the fuck out. Like, they sold out on the first day.
Wow.
You couldn't get a ticket. I feel like it was the first day. Forgive me if I was a slacker and I waited I feel like it was the first day because I definitely was trying to get a ticket and it was gone. So we actually saw it at the second screen, the encore screening, which was 10 p.m. on a Saturday night, which is a lot later than we usually go out. Yeah, it was sold out. It was sold out. The second screening sold out as well.
10 p.m.
At 10 p.m. on a Saturday. Guys, I'm usually in my jammies by then eating Uber Eats.
Yes.
In front of the television.
Yes.
So that's a little backstory there. It was like we were like wanting to see this like super bad.
Yeah.
Like we really wanted to see this. And so I happened to see it go up on social media somewhere that they had opened up a second screening, and I was like, boom, immediately I bought us tickets because I knew it was going to sell out again. Anyway, so synopses.
Recovering from the death of his mother, 17-year-old Rodney dreams of escaping his small southern hometown to follow in her footsteps as an award-winning pageant queen. Despite an onslaught of bullying and abuse from his family and peers, Rodney calls upon a unique cast of southern characters to help him take the crown in a teen drag pageant in Atlanta.
Right. So, okay. Where to begin?
It's a bit of a Cinderella story.
It is a Cinderella story, and I feel like we didn't figure that out right. Okay, so so that kind of gives you an idea of what the film is about, but also like, so he's living with his basically evil stepdad,
and two stepbrother,
racist, bigoted,
homophobic,
awful stepdad, played by Jason McDonald. Okay, so I don't feel like I clarified this in Reckoning, and Catherine Dyer is in this movie too. She's the school counselor, playing a different character who's also very funny and like a little frightening.
Yeah.
So Catherine and Jason are part of the like founding members of Drama Inc., which is a place in town that does like classes, and they're also they've been making their own films and they do tapings and stuff. And so I started taking classes there in December, and I've been taking the on-camera class. I'm actually about to start taking the Meisner class, which I'm excited about because I haven't been training. I still use the Meisner technique whenever I'm acting, but I haven't been training in a couple of years, so looking forward to that. But anyway, so Jason and Catherine are like, they're always kind of there when I'm on the nights that I'm there, and like they pop in from time to time, and they're just like the nicest people. They're basically like your mom and dad. You know what I mean? Like they're not that they're old, but they're just like they have this presence there where they're like kind of there to take care of everyone. And like they teach classes too, of course. And they're so nice. And it was just so jarring to see Jason playing this awful person. Like he did a great job, but it was just like
fabulous.
But because I feel like because he's so likable, there was also like a tinge of like, there's something still likable about him despite how awful he was.
But he was very like believable. Like I feel like I've seen in like not so great short films before that a character that bad is portrayed in a like cartoonish way. Yeah. But he didn't play it in a cartoonish way. Like he was believable, like as this person who could exist.
Yeah, and like I feel like that's what those people really are like. Like you've got those like people in your family that are kind of awful, but like one-on-one you kind of like them. Yeah. You're like, oh, this, you know,
they're not so bad.
You know, Uncle so and so like gave, you know, he's the one who gave me this you know, this knows that I like this movie and he got it for me for my birthday or whatever. He always calls me on my birthday and he's so nice to me, but he's also like a stone cold racist monster. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so it was really fascinating to see that person in that role and embodying that kind of thing where like we're all kind of, and I feel like in this post-Trump era that we live in where we're like all kind of suspicious of people in our own family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are people that like you really love and you've grown up with, and then you start to question like who they really are inside. And like I feel like he kind of embodied that. Like, I mean, yes, there was no holding back on the awful things that he was saying. Like he said like awful stuff, but like still kind of likable under it, which is what made it so believable, I feel like.
Yeah.
That was like the long way for me to get to that topic, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so he's got this evil stepfather basically, and two stepbrothers, one who's super dumb and the other one who's like less dumb
and super hot.
Yeah. So here's the other thing is like, okay, so one of my many side jobs is that I work for a production company that makes these little, I don't want to say, that seems really demeaning. They're really great, actually. They're Kickstarter videos. They're for a startup company. So I work for this production company. I started out as an editor, and this year I started also doing casting for them. So there are a lot of actors in the movies that we saw that I'm like, oh, I know that I've messaged with that guy. You know what I mean? Like, so it was cool to see some people that who've submitted for some of the things at my job that are like up on this. I'm like, cool. I'm like, great job, dude. And that guy that played the brother was one of the guys that I've seen come up in our submissions before. I don't know. We've never actually cast him, but he's a really good actor.
Yeah. No, he was great. He was very scary.
He reminds me of like a hot guy from an 80s movie.
Yes!
He had hot guy from an 80s movie written all over him.
Just the way he was.
There was something about him. Like he should have been in fucking Karate Kid or something.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, can we talk about the lead actor though?
Yes. Oh my God.
His name is Hart Morse.
Adore him.
I adore him. Yes.
He was so great. Him and do you have the lead the actress who played his friend as well? His BFF. She was great too. He was funny. He was so human and touching, and just like, I just wanted him. I wanted him to get to that pageant so bad. Like I wanted nothing more than for him to look fabulous and win that pageant. That's all I wanted. All I wanted in the world. Do you remember when we were talking about Dumplin'? And I said that I was like, why do the gays always have to solve all these ladies' problems? Why can't they just like get their own pageant? And like,
and then
somebody did it.
Yes,
somebody finally did it.
So, it feels like they might have made it at the same time. Like,
probably. Well, I don't know. I'm sure this thing's been in production for. I think they said it's been about a year. About a year.
Yeah, I mean, the Dumplin' definitely would pair nicely with this film. Like, they're very like. They're similar in some ways, but also like I feel like this film pageant material.
I was just happy to see.
I don't know. There's something about it. Like
I was happy to see drag queens helping another drag queen for once instead of like helping a straight white woman.
So
for once,
Marianne Johnson played his friend.
Oh, she was great. Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, I think she's submitted to one of our videos too. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, she was great. He was very, very, very good in this role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and very fun to watch, and just heartwarming. I know that's like, I don't know, kind of weird to say, but
no, I think that he was somebody you wanted to root for.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just because other people in the film were shitting on him and like literally beating him up, like literally beating him in his face.
But the love he had for his mom.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. As a mom, it was just like, it was tugging at all the heart. It was like just playing on all my heartstrings.
Yeah. They had his mom, you know, in this and,
yeah, in the flashback. Yeah. And I don't want to give too much of that away, but I think what we can say is that his mom is a former beauty queen.
Yes.
And that's kind of what inspires him to want to be part of this pageant.
Yes.
So yeah, we kind of danced around this, but like it is basically a Cinderella story. Yeah. Like it is very much like that's kind of the framework of it. Yeah. And we both kind of realized it at the same time.
When they made him do chores.
Right. So, okay. So he is you know, he's already like sort of into makeup and like beauty and wants to be like a pageant queen like his mom. And then he sees in the library this this ad in the paper, I think, for a teen drag pageant in Atlanta. And he's in a small town. And so he's now got to figure out, how am I going to do my makeup and my hair and all this stuff and get to Atlanta? Because I don't think we've mentioned this before, but he's in high school. So he doesn't like have any way to get to Atlanta.
Yeah, he can't drive. He has a bike.
So he needs to get to the ball is what I'm saying.
Yes.
And there at one point, so he's got to ask his stepdad, but not tell him where it is.
Yes.
Like he tells him it's a math tournament, right?
Yes.
It's like a mathlete thing.
Yeah.
And one of his stepbrothers is like not buying it. Mm-hmm.
No way.
The 80s hot one is just not buying it. And so his dad tells him he can go if he finishes all the chores that him and his brothers give him.
And they like mess things up for him
and you turned to me and you're like, oh, it's Cinderella. And I was like, I literally just thought of that like the same time. Like we were like, oh my God, it's Cinderella. Like we both got it.
It was so funny. It was about
25 minutes into the movie.
It was about chores. Like why was it chores that made
I don't know, but we both clicked on it at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
And down to even like he like is ready to go and he gets found out and his dad and his brothers like ruin everything.
Yeah.
And there's a fairy godmother and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Basically.
And a carriage, except it's just, you know.
A bus?
It's like a truck. It's like a van.
Yeah, the guy that drives him in the van. Oh my God. That scene was so good.
That was like my favorite scene in the whole film.
Didn't the audience like applaud after his monologue? Yeah. Oh my God. It was there. The guy. Okay. So he. And he's got this best friend, which I don't think we addressed. We did mention her, but like he's got this best friend and she works at a salon. And so she's also got this kind of side story where she's trying to learn to do makeup as well as her sister so that she can work in the salon. And so she's like learning to put makeup on him as well. And then, so he gets all dolled up. He's got everything going. And then his dad, his stepdad finds everything, he figures out the whole plan and he's just fucked. Mm-hmm. He's fucked. And he ends up at this diner, and that's where he meets the fairy godmother, who's like a waitress.
Yes.
What did you think about this scene?
I thought it was sweet. I kind of wanted. I mean, I actually ended up liking this more, but I kind of was expecting like a drag queen to magically pop up and be like, hey.
Yeah,
like,
I kind of thought that too, but I guess this was a little bit more of a like how it would really happen kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yes, I also kind of wondered once I figured out it was Cinderella, I was like, oh my God, a drag queen's going to be his fairy godmother.
Yeah, me too. I saw the same thing.
But no, this was a little bit more of like a how it would happen in reality, where it's like he just meets a very nice person, waitress at a diner who like
she finds
helps
him a ride in a dress. And yeah, the guy who gives him a ride,
oh my God.
I loved it.
So great.
Yeah. You guys should see it.
And so I don't think it's giving away. I mean, we know he's going to get to the pageant. Yeah. We won't say what happens at the end, but like, he does eventually get there and meets. What is her name? Is it in the
Eva Destruction?
Eva Destruction, who's like this big like drag queen.
And
Atlanta.
she's a real.
She was amazing.
In Atlanta.
And so he gets there but he needs help because he's been through a lot.
Makeup and hair done.
He's been through a lot, and the other drag queens in the pageant pull together and like do his hair and makeup and help him out with stuff.
But again, in a very grounded, realistic way. It's not like one of those like montages with it's very truthful and and he does find this film's version of a Prince Charming, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I guess that's what you could say. And we can't say what happens in the end, but I can say that I was definitely crying.
Yes.
Definitely crying at the end. And it was so beautiful and also a little bit unexpected. Like I didn't quite expect it to play out that way. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was very satisfying, but also I feel like the way that it played out was also realistic,
Yeah.
And how did they get that fucking Kesha song?
I have no idea.
That if there ever was a time for me to ask a question in a Q&A, it was, how the fuck did you get that fucking Kesha song?
Now you know Jonathan,
me and
you can ask him.
We Instagram know each other. I feel like it would be real creepy if I was like, how did you get that Instagram song? Like, how did you get that Kesha song? I was
Jonathan, if you're listening now, please write to us. How did you get that Kesha song?
How did you afford that? Or he must have written. Somebody must have written. Because I was just like, that is a goddamn popular ass song that they got in this movie. And it's like a very pivotal moment in the film.
Well, hopefully she read the screenplay and was like, I
doubt they sent the whole screenplay over. Like, nobody's going to read it. Like, at most maybe like, here's what the film's about. Yeah. I just feel like, most people aren't going to, read a whole screenplay no matter how good it is. But anyway, that was the closest I've ever been to actually asking a question during a Q&A. Like, first of all, I'd like to say. So that was definitely like something I was like hung up on. How did they get that song? I had to know.
And I
have to know.
And of course, on the way home, I listened to that song. Yeah, in the car.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful moment. And also, so they got a standing O. O at the end. Apparently they got a standing O at the first screening too. Mm-hmm. So 2 standing O's, 2 sold out screenings.
I mean, when would they not get a standing O for this film?
Home run.
Yes.
For fuck's sake. This movie was a home fucking run. And it was just really exciting to be there and to again, this was like I was running into all kinds of people I knew there, and just to see the community come together and support this work, and to see people in our own town sell out 2 sold out screenings at the Plaza at the Atlanta Film Festival. It just it feels great to be part of something this exciting. Yeah. It feels great to be part of this community. I couldn't be happier for them. I really could not be happier for them. And they were clearly moved by the audience's response to the movie.
I was actually touched by what he said before the film started. The last thing he said before he sat down was, I love this film. Yeah. And I had to think about it. I was like, wait, you made this film. Mm-hmm. Are you allowed to talk about your film like that? But then I was like, that's so sweet that you can because I find it hard to love what I create, but I just loved that he loved this film. And I thought that was very sweet. And
after everything you can go through with a film,
Yeah.
like all the, like you have to go through the writing of it, and you got to go through it with a fine-toothed comb, and of course they wrote this as a team.
Yeah.
For more about how they met each other and got this whole thing together, and like the inspiration for this film, like again, I would recommend listeners, if you go listen to the Atlanta Film Chat podcast, there's an interview that delves into all of that, and it's fascinating.
I believe they like started working on this film a day after they met.
They met working on another film as actors, and then they sort of came up with this idea while they were there shooting in a small town, and kind of came up with this idea. I got lost in my thoughts. About loving your film. I think, so you go through the whole process of writing, and then you've got to find the money, and then you got to get all the people involved, and then you get to set, and it's like, you're like trying to figure all that shit out. And like, we've really never done we've done web series before, which is like kind of long-term, but you're shooting it over multiple. We spent like about a year shooting Margot in the Universe and The Motherlode, which Margot in the Universe we didn't write, but we worked on a lot. But we've never made a feature.
Yeah. And
so I imagine the intensity of going into that, and then like getting it done, and then editing, and like figuring that, like by the time you get to the end, I think there's some fatigue there.
Yeah.
When you get to the end, and it's almost like you're like, oh, it's like giving birth to something.
Yeah.
You're like, finally it's out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they took it out of me. But so to still after going through all that, to just still be in love with your film, like that means that you made something really special.
No, that touched me definitely, because I in that moment I realized, I was like, do I allow myself to love my work? Like, that's just so sad.
I probably love my work a little too much. Like other people are like, I hate watching myself on screen. I'm like, why are you an actor then? I love watching myself. I was also very touched by what he said, what Jonathan said during the Q&A, which was, your stories are important.
Yes.
So go out there, please make your story, because people want to hear it.
Yes. I mean, I was definitely inspired by the shorts block, but I have to say that it was after I saw this film that I told you this like a few days after.
We definitely looked at each other and we were like, fuck yeah, let's make stuff.
No, but like it took me a few days to really think about it, and then realize like, yes, I have a day job, but like I want to do this. Like I had some doubts, for a while, for a few years.
I feel like
I had some
we all
doubts.
go through that, where we're just like, does anyone care? Like, is anyone listening? Like, why? Who am I doing this for? Like, would anyone give a shit if I stopped doing this altogether?
Yeah.
I think it's totally normal. I go through that like at least once or twice a year.
Yeah, but I didn't know if I wanted to spend my time doing this. But after seeing that film, I was like, I mean, this is what I always wanted to do. Like, of course, of course, and it's in your bones. I love story.
I love story too. There's something really. I love story. I feel the same. Like after them and Reckoning as well, because that was another story of like, let's fucking make a feature. I'm tired of not making a feature, and I was like, yes, fuck yes. Let's make a feature, and that's how I feel. I'm like, fuck yes, let's make a feature. Yes. Any final thoughts? Final thoughts on pageant material, or just your experience at the Atlanta Film Festival?
It was a great film festival this year. I wish I could have gone to more things. But
for sure.
I'm so glad that I went to the 10:00 screening of pageant material, and
it was
a great. It was a great night.
We didn't even talk about how Caitlin
Studer was the costume designer.
Yes, and she did a fucking great job too.
Yes.
God, so many great people worked on this.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess my final thoughts are, I really wanted to see this movie, and it lived up to expectations.
Yeah.
I'm super happy for them. I feel inspired as fuck to go out and make something challenging. I think it can be really easy to talk yourself out of making a feature. It's like, oh, it's like, so where am I getting the money? And it's like so long, and like, am I ready? And it's like, fucking do it.
Yeah.
Fucking do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy for them, and I am feeling like I want to challenge myself.
Yeah.
After watching what they were able to accomplish.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Well, I've really enjoyed talking about the Atlanta Film Festival with you.
Me too.
It was a fucking awesome festival. Good luck 2020, living up to the expectations of 2019.
Maybe we'll see you there with one of our own films.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm sure we'll get out to see some more film fests this year. So
yes.
Anytime we're going out to a fest, I feel like we'll probably do an episode about that, at least one. This was a big fest. We saw a lot of stuff, so we had to break it into two. But so look forward to more. There's lots of film fests in Atlanta now. It's like, I mean, in Georgia in general. I mean, right now the Milledgeville Film Festival is going on as we speak, or probably is wrapping up because it's Sunday. Anyway, so thanks for joining us, dear listener, for this look at what we saw at the Atlanta Film Festival. What did you see at the Atlanta Film Festival? Tell us about it. Tweet us, comment. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Georgia Made Podcast, and you can find us on Twitter at Georgia Made Pod. Tell us all about what you saw. We'd like to know.
Yes.
So did you disagree with us? Did you have any contrary thoughts?
Yes. Do you think we're full of shit?
We probably are. So yes, please follow us on social media. Subscribe to the podcast. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, TuneIn, like everywhere, man. So subscribe. And also, maybe rate us, leave us a review.
And drink some of that cream top chocolate milk.
And drink some cream top chocolate milk while you're doing it. Just like let it run down your face like Tormund from Game of Thrones. Till next time. Oh, we've got something special planned next time.
Ooh.
I'm not going to say what it is.
Okay.
But I'm pretty excited about it. It could go a variety of ways.
Yes.
But stay tuned because we've got some special things coming up for you. We've got some films we're going to watch. We're watching some Georgia-made films.
We're going to have some guests.
We're going to have some guests. Stay for the milk, come back for the guests. I don't know what that means. So come and join us.